Pledge in Arabic is ar-rahnu, which is the delivery of personal property to a creditor as security for a debt or to perform an act, sometimes called bail. A pledge is a form of guarantee to ensure that a person will repay a debt or perform an act under a contract. In a pledge, a person gives temporary possession of property to another party. Pledges are typically used in obtaining loan, mortgaging property for cash, and guaranteeing that the contracted work will be done. In Islam, this pledge is intended to ease the burden of Muslims based on the word of Allah in the Holy Book of Al-Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah verse 283, which means, and if you are in traveler, then you owe or give a term debt, while you do not find a scribe, then let there be a pledge to be held by the person who gave the debt. This shows that Allah commands His servant to make a pledge if they are in a difficult situation. Pledge in the context of our country Malaysia has been practiced since the 15th century. That is in the Melaka Malay Sultanate. It was introduced by Chinese traders who did it secretly among neighbor, friend, and family. During the British colonial era, licensed pawnshop were introduced and new pawnshop law were enacted in June 1973. Pledgee is a person entrusted with the care of an exchange item and die responsible for the loss or decrease in the price of the mortgage item, if it shall happen due to his negligence during the course of the mortgage. The mortgage has several rights that must be met. The first is, if mortgagor have exceeded the time allowed to repay the loan, then the pledgee can sell the mortgage good. Both pledgee may also withhold pledge good for specific reason. Third, the pledgee can take payment for the care of the good. This is different from riba.
The law of mortgage, the opinion of the Shafi'i, the pawnbroker and pawnbroker should be of mature age, since not restrained from handling his property for reason of waste, and not forged. Illegal pawning of a child or a madman or a coerced person or a wasteful person, while the custodian of their property who are detained from handling it should not mortgage its assets into situation. First situation, there are circumstances that force the custodian to mortgage it, such as the person detained handling his property is in need of food or clothing or education or the like, whereas the custodian of his property has no way to provide for his expense except by mortgage his property. Second situation, that mortgage the property of the person detained from handling it may give interest to his property as it is found. A thing which is purchased can give a profit, whereas the custodian of his property cannot buy it except by borrow and mortgage the property.
Pledge is a bailment that conveys possessory title of property owned by a debtor, the pledger to a creditor, the pledgee, to secure repayment for some debt of obligation, and to the multi-benefit of both parties. The term is also used to denote the property which constitutes the security. The pledge is a type of security interest. Pledge is a patronage of Roman law, from which most of the modern European-based law on subject is derived, but is generally a feature of even the most basic legal system. It differs from possession and from a more usual mortgage in that pledge is in a possession of the pledge. It is similar, however, in that all three can apply to personal and real property. A pledge of personal property is known as a pawn, and that of real property is called an entreaty. Pledge's property must be in the possession of the pledgee. This can be accomplished in one of two ways. The property can be the pledger's actually possession, meaning cycle possession. For example, Mary keeps John's stereo at her house. Otherwise, it can be in a constructive possession of the pledgee, meaning that the pledger has some control over the party of property which typically occurs when actual possession is impossible. For example, a pledgee has constructive possession of the contents of a pledger safe-deposit box at the bank when the pledger gives the pledgee the only keys to the box.
Pledgers, but the parties have capital rights and liabilities. The contract of pledger represents only one set of these. The term under which the debt or obligation will be fulfilled and the pledged property returned. On the hand, the pledged right extends to the safekeeping and protection of his property while he is in possession of the pledged. The property cannot be hushed without permission unless use is necessary for its preservation, such as accessing a live animal. Unhazard use of the property is called conversion and may make the pledged liable for damage. Thus, Mary shall not use John's stereo wheel in possession of it. For the pledged on the other hand, there is more than the duty to care to the pledged property. The pledged has the right to the possession and control of any income occurring during the period of the pledge, unless agreement to the contrary exists. This income reduces the amount of the debt and the pledged must account for it to the pledged. Additionally, the pledged is entitled to be reimbursed for expenses incurred in returning, caring for, and protecting the property. Finally, the pledged need not remain a party to the contract of the pledged indefinitely. She can sell or assign interest under the contract of the pledged to a third party. However, the pledged must notify the pledged that the contract of the pledged has been sold or resigned, otherwise she is guilty of conversion.
Conclusion: quite obvious from the rule is that the right of the pledger to redeem cannot be handled by the improvement that the pledgee might have made on the property while in the possession. Lack of time cannot be raised as a bar to the redeem of a pledged property, and so the exercise of the right of the redemption by the pledger or his successor in title cannot be met with the difference of lapse of time.